And, how do you define product-led growth? And, why is it increasingly important?
Yes. Just to go back maybe a decade or two for our listeners, when I was part of the Office and Windows teams, AI was this afterthought or like a separate team in a separate building that nobody really knew much about what was happening there. It's all the cool kids and the whiz kids, would be working on it. And that also meant that the way we would create product, the way engineering would operate in terms of developing, both features for the product, but also developing the user experience, it was sort of in a silo, right? So product and eng lived in the product and, did some usability labs and customer validation, and that was it. And go-to-market teams lived mostly outside the product. Right? Which meant they would go to market, talk to customers. Everything from sales to marketing was all about brand and perception and prospecting and, landing those big deals. And that delineation was very, very evident. And as I've reflected in the past, even just the past 3 years, with the infusion of AI, now available to everyone, not only can you build your infrastructure, so think your backend schema, to your data architecture, to then building out the user experience itself, AI can now power pretty much the full stack, but it can also power out of product growth strategies. And often the common ground and why that happens is data, right? So you need customer data when you're thinking about what is the next, user experience that we want to build and evolve the product to. In the same way that you need, customer data to understand, okay, how do I crack this deal? Or how do I get through into this particular prospect that I'm trying to reach? What are their user, behaviors and patterns? What have they used? So data being that common ground more so than AI has created this sort of infusion, where AI is now available as a solution and creates this common ground, right? And so what that does is, be it product-led growth or sales-led growth, depending on whatever strategy you're taking advantage of, you can actually build solutions for your go-to-market teams around account intelligence and growth scores the same way that you can actually build features that are contextually available to your users. So it's spanning this entire life cycle of the customer. And said differently, when you think about product-led growth, what it has evolved into is this AI-powered cross-functional go-to-market strategy. Right? It's no longer just, hey, we're going to use product as a, driver of acquisition. And yes, that is the heart of it. So if you ask me conceptually, product-led growth, pretty much is where we use the product to drive both acquisition and retention, and then finally expansion of our customers. But really, it's evolved past that to where it's now, hitting across all the different layers of an organization. The product still being the nucleus, right? Still being that sort of primary driver of user adoption, of driving revenue. But it's sort of taking over what one might think of as traditional sales or marketing efforts. It's almost creating this, sort of fluid layer across organizations.